appears the party of law and order is proving that they are neither for law nor are they for order. This recent, or I should say, this story is amazing. So you have a failed Republican candidate for the New Mexico state legislature that was arrested on Monday in connection with a recent string of shootings that were political in nature. These shootings happened at the homes and offices of local Democrats, according to police. So now, according to a report in NBC News, Solomon Pena, 39, is accused of conspiring with 4 other men, whom he allegedly paid to shoot at the homes of 2 county commissioners and 2 state legislatures, according to Albuquerque Police Chief Harold Medina. Wow. Now, they were found after ballistics evidence from one of the shootings led investigators to link him to the case. Pena was taken into custody by a SWAT team in Albuquerque following a brief standoff. Party of law and order, folks. Oh, look at that. Medina said, quote, "It is believed that Pena is the mastermind behind this." You know, I always hate the term mastermind when it comes to doing something incredibly stupid and or dangerous. He allegedly paid people to shoot at his political opponents because he believed that they helped his opponent steal the election for him. Or, I'm sorry, for his opponent. But not smart. These are not intelligent people that we are dealing with, okay?
You idiot.
They're just stupid. Full of stupid people. And of course, it's the conspiracy theories around the election, you know, voter fraud. We got voter fraud everywhere. Voter fraud. We got voter fraud here. We got voter fraud there. Voter fraud is any time, basically, that I do not win an election as a Republican. That's when voter fraud always seems to happen. Always seems to be alleged. Weird. Or maybe, you know, you suck at campaigning. Maybe you suck at running elections. Or maybe you just suck. No. That can't be it. Has to be a conspiracy. Now, let me give you the details of what happened, okay? So on December 4th, 8 rounds were fired at the southeast Albuquerque home of Bernalillo? Sorry about that. We'll just go with Bernalillo County Commissioner Adrian Barboa. A few days later, the home of State House Speaker-elect Javier Martinez was also targeted. Then, more than a dozen gunshots at the home of a former County Commissioner Debbie O'Malley. And on January 3rd, 8 shots were fired at the home of State Senator Linda Lopez, who said in a statement that 3 of the bullets had passed through her 10-year-old daughter's bedroom. Now, look, this is incredibly frightening. I mean, again, imagine your house being targeted by crazy people with guns, shooting into your house, almost hitting and killing your children. It's just insanity. Now, Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller said on Monday that APD had essentially discovered what we had all feared after the investigation. And what we all suspected is that these shootings were politically motivated. And look, they've got receipts. We got the evidence here. And I think that's important because there undoubtedly will be people on the right wing. And I'm not saying that we're going to get through to them with evidence because, let's be honest, usually those people are too far gone. But for those who, like, I don't know, might identify as conservative or conservative leaning, who are not like indoctrinated into the MAGA cult, and they're like, I don't know, I like tax cuts or something. I think government's too big, whatever, right? It's generally I vote Republican and don't really follow the news. Well, it's important to suss out the facts here and to present the facts to show you that, hey, by the way, a lot of the people that you're associating with or the party that you're associating with has a lot of violent people that support it. Maybe you got to do something about that. So That said, for the sane people who want to follow what's going on, who may not agree with me politically, let's go through and point out the evidence that you have MAGA chuds that are perpetrating the violence. And it, of course, is also to counter the narrative that, oh, no, it's the left that's the dangerous ones. Oh, yes, it's the left. It's the Antifa. They're burning down entire cities. Which, no, that's not the reality. But anyway, so let's show you a picture of Pena. All right. And here we are. That's from his official Twitter account. Obviously, Biden supporter. I mean, no, it's MAGA. Secret Antifa. Yep, confirmed. All right. So, look, that's him. Calling, and he, by the way, in another social media post, he considered himself or called himself the MAGA king. He also consistently posted on social media about voter fraud and rigged elections, including, of course, his own. And on November 17th, in a response to a tweet by the New Mexico Secretary of State warning against attempts to manipulate the election certification process, here's what he wrote. I will attempt to stop the certification in Bernalillo County until a hand recount has been done. It was rigged. It was rigged. No, wasn't rigged. Stupid. No evidence of that. But it gets worse. So it turns out in this investigation, we find out why these specific people were targeted. He had shown up at the homes of these people prior to the shooting and had tried to get them to not certify his loss in the election. According to former Bernalillo County Commissioner Debbie O'Malley, who was, again, a target, Pena showed up to deliver papers and to have a conversation about election fraud. She said, quote, of the visit, I thought it was kind of odd. And he seemed a little anxious to me and a little kind of aggressive. And that put me on alert. Now, she then, of course, afterwards forgot about this, the little interaction until her home had been shot at. County Commissioner Adrian Barboa said of Pena that, quote, when he was talking to her about the alleged election fraud, he was all just sort of all over the place. The things he was putting together weren't quite connecting or fitting. One of his arguments, by the way, of how he knows that there was election fraud. I knocked on a bunch of doors. I mean, I walked and I knocked on a lot of doors, everybody. I should have won. Did you knock on all the doors? And by the way, just because you've knocked on somebody's door and talked to them doesn't mean that they're going to be a voter. And judging, by the way, how these people who he had talked to had responded to him, how he was like weird and aggressive. Maybe these people that were like talking to him after he was, knocking on their door, was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, I'll vote for you. Just go away. I'll vote for you. Go away. Go away. You're creeping me out. Me and my kids. You're creeping us all out. Fine, I'll vote for you. Go away. Who knows, right? It's possible. It's possible. Now, she also added, you can't say because you knocked on 1,000 doors, you got 1,000 votes. Which is what, again, sane people would realize. But all right, sure. That said, it doesn't matter. Once you've fallen down that conspiracy hole, it's real tough to get out. Once you've convinced yourself that it is a conspiracy, that there is a fraud, that there's everything that is against you without needing any evidence, when you can just put up a whiteboard and just start connecting dots, you're too far gone. And by the way, it should be noted that this isn't the first time he has spoken about or even tried to do something about so-called election fraud. Remember, diehard Trump supporter, and you're not going to be surprised that he was at January 6th. There's a picture right there. It's one of the last pictures I have from the January 6th trip. I lost that phone at the Trump rally in Phoenix, July 2021. Make America great again. The obvious Antifa plan, obvious. I mean, FBI. No, the ramps. And this guy's ridiculous. All right. So now that said, this guy, he's got some issues. All right. And he's also has a criminal record. Now, I do believe in restorative justice. And I do believe that, you know, like after you serve your time, yeah, you should be able to get back into society, you know, and do something with your life, right? And so this guy says, well, I ran for office as a result of, you know, me wanting to better my life. Okay, that's fine. And by the way, his Democratic opponent was like, hey, this guy's got a criminal history. Maybe he shouldn't be on the ballot. Now, it turns out he was allowed to be on the ballot. And so I don't disagree with that. But then again, you look at him and some of the stuff that he had done might have been an indicator of, you know, what he was alleged to have done here. In fact, state records obtained by the Santa Fe New Mexican in August reflected 19 felonies on Pena's rap sheet, including burglary, larceny, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and receiving stolen property. This is a guy who's talking about stealing elections. I had the election stolen from me, and boy, let me tell you, I would know all about theft. Reached for comment by the New Mexican, Pena initially invoked his Fifth Amendment privileges against self-incrimination, before later telling the reporter that he believed only certain kinds of criminals, like a quote-unquote child rapist, would cause voters to balk at the ballot box. Oh, okay. Only certain kinds of criminals. Well, to be fair, a lot of Republican voters vote for criminals. Again, you've had alleged criminals and alleged sexual abusers in office. Donald Trump is one of the bigger examples. You also had, of course, Matt Gaetz, who was alleged to have, you know, done human trafficking of a teen girl. Jim Jordan, who covered up sexual abuse at Ohio State. You had Roy Moore, who ran as a Republican, who, you know, really enjoyed going after teen girls at the mall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? There are MAGA chuds that don't care if you're a criminal. The only thing they care about is if you're one of them and you're against the Democrats. Now, that said, I'm not lumping in all Republicans with these people, right? In fact, some of the local Republican officials denounced this. They said, in fact, this is House Republican leader Ryan Lane, said that the New Mexico House Republicans are grateful that no one was injured in the shootings, and referenced Pena's criminal past, which had been a controversial issue during the campaign, saying, quote, "This is yet another example of a convicted felon unlawfully gaining access to firearms, which they were barred from owning or possessing, and using the weapon in a manner that causes public harm." Yes. Well, that said, to kind of drive the point home, I think it's pretty clear, or it should be clear by now, which base of voters has people that are more prone to violence. And they even kind of admit it themselves in a strange way. I mean, sure, that may have been done tongue-in-cheek, but weirdly enough, it keeps turning out to be true.